Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Doctor Who Reviews. This week we have quite the meaty one. This is Can You Hear Me, written by Charlene James and Chris Chibnall. And to discuss it, I have my two... Start again.
Wow, I can't believe it.
Make the blooper reel.
Yeah, possibly.
No, I can't believe you finally let me on this podcast.
You know what? I'm going to leave it in. Screw it. I'm going to leave it in. Here are my two not new, not blue, usable co-hosts.
We're doing it live, people.
We're doing it live. So, firstly, to my virtual left, he's probably dreaming up how to crowbar yet another mention of mirrors into this podcast as we speak. It's FreezingInferno.
That's a good one. Hi.
He says he needs to crowbar it in.
Quite. And to my virtual right, she's your worst nightmare. It's Kat.
This is true.
Nice evil laugh.
Very
Thank
good.
you.
So some brief housekeeping to get out of the way. We're currently in the middle of a storm here in the UK. Storm Kiara, not Kira as the BBC keeps calling it, because that's a completely different name, BBC. So if you can hear extreme wind and rain in the background, I can only apologise. It's rather appropriate, though, that we're sitting in the middle of a storm and talking about this during a storm, because some parts of this blew me away and others left me feeling cold.
Wow, that's some poetic imagery. I like that. Very good.
Thank you.
An apt description.
Thank you. I will start the proceedings this week. I think this is probably the best villain of the Chibnall era. The best original villain, anyway. I'm talking about Zellin.
Sure, let's go with that.
And Rakaya. Well, what else have we got? We got dishcloths. We got Tim Shaw.
You got the Kasavan. You got the Dregs. You've got
yeah, they have been getting better.
Scorpion from Tesla episode.
They have been getting better in this series, but this is a proper meaty villain, particularly Zellin. Rakaya is a bit of window dressing, maybe, but...
Can you do me one favor, though? Can you stop calling him meaty? Because, ugh.
Yes, all right, sorry.
Yeah.
Solid?
He's really not that. He's really not that.
All right, well, I like the villain anyway. He comes across to me as a blend of the Dream Lord from Amy's Choice and the Nightmare Man, who is a Sarah Jane Adventures villain, played by the same guy that played Davros.
Yes, because we all watched the Sarah Jane Adventures.
He gave the main characters in that nightmares, forced them into rooms. And Ian Gelder, who plays Zellin, has been in Doctor Who before. He was the voice of the dishcloths in the Ghost Monument.
Oh dear God!
So he's now mentioned the Timeless Child twice.
The fan theory that he is the dishcloth.
Oh God! I think more likely he gave his voice to that role, and they thought, you know what, he'd be perfect for a better villain down the line.
Well, he was in Torchwood too.
Yeah, Mr. Decker. That was a creepy. That was a creepy dude.
Game of Thrones person.
He was a creepy dude in that. He wasn't a villain, but he might as well have been. So yeah, Zellin then, he is basically, as I say, the Dream Lord. He is this all-powerful being who invades people's nightmares and siphons them off. And I really like this concept.
Well, I mean, the whole concept of the episode at first, as you're watching, it does feel, in some respects, like James and Chibnall looked at the shelf of horror movies and went, "Oh, hey, Nightmare on Elm Street. That was pretty good. Maybe what if we do the Doctor Who thing on that?"
Yeah,
which it doesn't quite pan out that way. Like, it's not. It wouldn't be accurate to call this the story like Doctor Who does Nightmare on Elm Street. In the same way as you could say about other stories, like saying Spy follows Doctor Who does James Bond.
It's not, because Zellin's actually got a goal rather than just revenge.
Exactly, yeah. There's not, like...
a goal. It's very much a goal. It's not a good goal, but it is one.
He's working to a purpose. Freddy, I believe, I haven't really seen the Nightmare on Elm Street films, but isn't Freddy mostly out for revenge?
Basically, it's just like, oh, these people killed me. These people killed me. Now I'm a ghost. I'm going to kill their kids in their dreams.
I mostly know.
Unless it's the new Nightmare on Elm Street, where it turns out he was a pedophile the whole time.
Oh my
and they
God!
were justified in killing him.
Oh boy.
And the kids were the ones he abused, and it was weird.
Oh, was that the remake from like 10 years ago? Oh, yeah.
I forget who did that one, but apparently that was Wes Craven's. He's the one who did Nightmare, right?
Yeah, Wes Craven. And
apparently that was his original idea, was to make him a pedo, but he decided not to do it for obvious reasons.
Good, I'm glad.
And then they did it anyways in the remake.
Bad, I'm not glad.
This is interesting. I was thinking of this as I wrote it. Like, I basically thought of it like 15 minutes into the episode when Zelen is invading people's dreams and doing weird, gross shit with his fingers. So I thought of basically, it's Nightmare on Elm Street sort of thing. And then I'm writing it up, and I'm thinking, well, like I said, it doesn't really play much with the iconography of Nightmare on Elm Street other than the general idea of creepy fucker with his hands in your dreams. Yeah. But then I thought of a little movie called Nightmare on Elm Street 3, which, if you don't know, is a story set in a psychiatric ward with troubled teens who are getting killed by Freddy. And the psychiatrists don't believe them when they say that there's this creepy fuck in their dreams, and there's lots of metaphor and subtext. The rest of the movie doesn't work quite as well with it, but it's something interesting you can latch onto.
Is that the one where he fights Carrie? Or is it the sixth one? I
don't remember which one. I think you're thinking of Jason. There's a Jason, the Friday the 13th movie.
There was one where... Well, no, maybe it was Jason. Well, shit, now I don't remember.
I'm going to be completely honest with you here. My main exposure to Freddy Krueger is Mortal Kombat and The Simpsons.
But yeah, you think about Elm Street 3 and that whole thing, and suddenly it's like, ooh, there's something going on there. And it's interesting to think about in light of Can You Hear Me? And a fun fact connecting Doctor Who and Nightmare on Elm Street, the director of Nightmare on Elm Street Part 6, Rachel Talalay, did a whole bunch of Capaldi-era episodes. Stuff like Dark Water, Death in Heaven, Hellvent.
The really good Capaldi stuff, by and large.
Well, to be
really crunchy stuff.
Her fault, so.
No, we're not blaming Rachel Talalay.
Either way, just watch the first Nightmare on Elm Street and forget all the rest.
Okay. If I ever get around to watching that film, I'll do that. Just watch the first and pretend.
The first one is the best one, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's usually the same in most film series. Let's be honest.
Except I find Shrek, because Shrek 2 is better than Shrek is.
Hence, usually or mostly. There are exceptions.
Usually.
Empire being better than Star Wars, A New Hope, for example. Shrek 2, as you rightly say.
Actually, if we're on the subject of horror movies and these immortal people, there's a second influence that I caught that I think you're gonna get a kick out of, Kat.
Oh.
And that's a little Stephen King property called It. I mean, because... Oh, shit!
I knew this was coming.
You got it!
I knew this was coming, but the sad thing is you're right.
It's coming?
Oh my god, it is!
This is totally Pennywise.
So, for those of you who don't know the general idea of Stephen King's It, there's a nightmare monster clown living underneath the town, and it basically feeds off fear. It turns into whatever...
Come on, Frez. There's a nightmare clown who lives beneath the town. He makes everyone frown. Why not? Damn it.
Thank you.
Cat's a poet, you didn't even know it.
Yeah! But yes, this clown...
I knew it, but you blew it.
It feeds on fear. It feeds on your worst fear. Like, if you're afraid of Frankenstein, it turns into Frankenstein and comes to kill you. And there's a whole thing about fears and nightmares, and it's a metaphor for
growing
a whole bunch of shit.
Yeah.
And I mean, well, it could be potentially in the minds of James and Chibnall because, well, we had 2 big movies, It and It Chapter 2 that came out in 2017 and
excellent.
2019.
Go watch them.
They're good and terrifying and wow. But yeah, there's definitely that sort of undercurrent, especially when we get to Rakaya, the lady one.
Yeah.
Comes to Earth specifically to be like, ooh, I can just totally have a good feast of human fear and really enjoy myself and shit.
She's never actually named on camera, is she?
I don't know. I don't know for sure.
Zillan just calls her like his partner, his equal.
I'm just going off your notes.
Actually, no, she's not. She's not his equal. She's more powerful than him.
Mm-hmm.
I kind of like that actually. The way he says, "I just ride on her slipstream."
It's wild.
Yeah, I like that idea.
Man. Oh, I looked up the person who plays Kaya or whatever her name is, Claire Hope Ashley, and I scrolled down to look at her filmography and I see the word "it" and I'm like, oh, it's not that it. It's IT.
Yeah.
Oh.
Different film. Different property altogether.
Okay.
That would have been really good symmetry, though. My goodness.
She was in Children of Men. I love that movie.
Neat.
I'm not too familiar with the actress. I think she did a good job here, but her acting pales into insignificance compared with Ian Gelder here. He is so good.
He's really good. Yeah.
Like whatever you think of Zillan as a concept, he really just goes full on for this, and it works so well. He's creepy. He's menacing. He really gives this feeling of this character is an all-powerful entity, an all-powerful god. Well, not quite all-powerful, as we'll discuss. But
should we discuss the classic Doctor Who references that I'm going to assume Chris Chibnall?
I knew. As soon as I heard this mentioned, I thought, oh my god, Jerry's going to kick off about this.
Well, kick off in a fashion. Because Zelen and Rakaya are basically gods, and he name drops a couple of other gods in Doctor Who lore, as it were. There's a mention of the Eternals, who I believe come from the Fifth Doctor story Enlightenment.
Yeah, that's a good one.
The Guardians, who showed up in Tom Baker's run during the Key to Time saga story arc. And the Black Guardian, and I think they did show up again. Actually, I think they did show up in Enlightenment too.
I think their story ends in Enlightenment. Yeah.
Yeah, you're right. It does. They had a little story arc in the Fifth Doctor era too. And then we get a mention of the goddamn toy maker,
the Celestial Toy Maker. Yes.
It's just okay. So for those of you who don't know, this is 60s Doctor Who. This is William Hartnell era. Michael Gough played this guy called the Toy Maker, and he made the Doctor and his friends play like board games and shit for 4 episodes. I haven't actually seen that story. I've kind of been putting it off because it has some, shall we say, problematic elements.
There's that word again.
Namely, that he's a goddamn kind of racist Chinese cartoon.
It's kind of worse than that. He's even referred to in some sources as the Mandarin.
Yeah! It's not a good look. Really not a good look. And having that name dropped in 2020 as a cute hee is kind of like, shit, what the fuck is you doing? Like, keep that shit buried as far as possible.
I think mentioning him is fine. I think if he ever shows up on camera, then we got a problem.
Oh yeah, then we got a problem. Like, mentioning him, the best I got is a little, maybe not the best thing reference.
He's quite obscure, really, so...
Yeah.
I mean, the serial he's in is missing.
Yeah, 3/4 missing. They have episode 4 of it. That one is still exists. And he was slated to come back in the Colin Baker era, but then they did the little hiatus, and they didn't make that story. But then Big Finish did make that story, which I've heard. It's not very good.
How dare you? It's set in Blackpool.
Well, my apologies to Blackpool that a shitty story had to be set in your place.
I mean, we made up for it later. We gave you the world Clara Oswald.
Okay, Blackpool's good now.
And Jenna Coleman, because she is from Blackpool, and they made a character from Blackpool. But
good, very good.
Blackpool represent, right? So
so they're immortals, basically.
They are immortals. Now there was a rumor going around based on some scenes that had been filmed, had been spotted on set. I think it's probably the bit where Zelen and Rakaya are out in the street discussing human life. Mm-hmm. And there were rumors that they were the White and Black Guardians, respectively. They actually were the Black and White Guardians. Now, they're not.
They're not.
They're not, no. They're kind of, like, as you say, from the same race of them, kind of.
Cloth, if you will.
What was it he says? He says, the Eternals have their games, the Guardians have their power struggles, and then he goes on to say how, this world is a beautiful board for me. So he's kind of an Eternal, in a way. Kinda.
And the way the Doctor talks makes it sound like he's some ancient threat from outside the universe, which kind of made me think of the Solitrack.
Yeah. He's a lot more malign than the Solitrack.
Oh, absolutely.
The Solitrack just wanted a friend.
The Solitrack just wanted a hug.
Oh. You just remind... I had to mention this because you said Solitrack.
Oh, God, you're good. Okay.
We can give Pip Madeley a pass this time. It wasn't him. I knew someone was going to do the scene with Graham in the doctor's surgery with Grace replaced by the Solitrack frog.
Oh, fuck.
And then DW Poop did that, but made it even better than I thought it was going to be.
Oh, God.
I'll link it in the description.
I didn't even think of it, but oh my good fuck.
I knew somebody on the internet was going to do something with that. I just knew it as soon as I saw it.
Oh boy. So there is something like, what's the word I'm looking for? Nihilistic and cosmic horror about the Immortals.
Yeah.
There are these eternal things that live forever that are basically just fucking with humanity, giving the most horrible nightmares. Just because they're fucking bored.
I mean, it's not that hard to imagine. I mean, people get bored and do stupid things every day. Why can't eventually they just decide to go,
I mean, the sheer scale of it. They're just, like, their plan is, let's torture Earth for millennia just for the hell of it.
Yeah.
It's horrific.
I mean, the idea of gods playing with people's lives like pieces in a board game is nothing new. It's not original. I mean, hell, that's what the toy maker did.
Except
he even says the toy maker would probably approve. So it's kind of a nod to that.
I just realized who Zelen and Rakaya are supposed to be. I figured it out.
Oh boy,
it's Chris Chibnall and Charlene James.
Oh Jesus!
Yes. That actually is an interpretation that could work.
Doctor Who mirror alert.
Because much like this episode, they're fucking us over.
I took Zelen to be more like I took Zelen and Rakaya to be more the personifications of doubt and fear themselves, but that works.
That also
that's too poetic for Chris Chibnall.
Oh, well, it is, but it's not too poetic for the Charlene James, so I'm gonna attribute it to her.
Yeah.
Look. Let's put it this way: Chibnall is now the new Moffat.
No,
but I like Moffat.
Don't insult Stephen Moffat like that, Kat. Come on now.
Yes, but I'm saying he's the new Moffat, and that I'm going to be slamming Chibnall instead.
I see.
Moffat is good in my books now after seeing this shit.
He's the new he's the new butt monkey.
Oh Jesus.
He's the new David Cameron, but instead of fucking a pig, he's going to fuck the entire Doctor Who universe.
Oh my god.
Jesus.
That was 2 references in one. Suck it.
I'm sorry, but I can no longer feel myself to insult Cameron when Donald Trump is right there.
Oh, Jesus God.
Yeah, but Donald Trump hasn't fucked anything except for himself.
Oh my fuck.
There's a mental image I didn't want. Right.
So that's a horrific image, a mental nightmare, if you will.
Well, now
speaking of nightmares,
now we know what I'd see if Zelen stuck his finger in my ear.
That's my nightmare.
Yes, the finger thing. We have to talk about the finger thing.
Oh. Ew.
Do we have to talk about the finger thing?
We'll try and get over it as quickly as possible. Now, you mentioned last week, not when we were recording, but you mentioned that Charlene James, Kat, she's known for writing about female genital mutilation.
Yeah, essentially body horror type stuff.
Yeah, so do you think she was inspired by that?
Well, no, I don't think so. Unless you count that one movie about the teeth in the girl's vagina, but...
Yeah, well, can we not count that?
You guys don't know about that movie?
No, I know
it's a real movie.
That is a real movie.
I know it's a real movie, but can we just, like, need to say it from just say, no?
And then everybody turned off the video, and we got no views.
Just look at the analytics. Why did it drop off a cliff at that moment? Oh, I know why. The teeth in the vagina. Right, got you.
Everyone with a penis instinctively crossed their legs and shut.
Hell, I don't even have a penis, and even I was like, oh!
Oh, God.
I'm not going to be able to sleep tonight after this podcast, am I?
Wow, it's really giving you nightmares.
Yes. And now I'm mirroring Zelen.
Fuck!
Well, no, you're mirroring... Anyway, whatever. A couple more things to talk about these two, then. I love the twist that she was actually his partner in crime and not his rival.
I kind of figured it.
Oh, I saw it coming. I saw it coming, but it was executed really well.
It still works. The fact that out of his sheer boredom, he created this entire elaborate scheme involving the nightmares of a girl in Syria, the doctor's companions, the friend of one of the doctor's companions, and all this other shit, all so he could get the doctor to fiddle-faddle with the thing and unlock his friend.
It's really manipulative. That's kind of why I like it, I think. Mm-hmm. For the most part, I think Zelen is really well written. I really do. Mm-hmm. His scenes with the Doctor, his conversations with the Doctor are wonderful to behold. Like,
my God!
Particularly when she opens the orb and says, I use your own technology against you. No, I use your instincts against you, Doctor. You did find the right answer. You just weren't asking the right question.
Oh, there's a line he said that got me to my fucking core. And I even wrote it in my blog.
You find that.
This up. Yeah. Because, well, for reasons we'll get into, this episode with me, but in a good way. Like, it's one of those.
Me too.
Yeah. The line is, the best part of humanity, the thing that truly sets them apart, the cruelty of their own minds directed towards themselves, the doubt, the fear, the endless voices telling themselves they're incapable of it. Like, fuck!
That is a mood. That is a real mood.
That fucking shook me.
And based on that horrible, exasperated noise, I'm guessing Kat does not feel the same way about it that we do.
No. Not really.
Here's something that I think you might appreciate, Kat, because I know you like Harry Potter a lot.
Yes.
The beautiful animated sequence.
Yes, go on.
Holy shit.
The beautiful animated sequence where Rakira is explaining what happened to her. What a good way.
Made by the same guy or team who did the Three Brothers story.
Is it the same team?
I don't know. You're the one who mentioned it.
Well, it reminded me of the Tale of the Three Brothers. But I don't know if it's the same team. But that animation is brilliant. And it's such a clever way. It is such a clever way to keep what could have been a boring scene of exposition interesting.
Not really.
Okay.
Well, I mean, it's better than just hearing someone talk. They tried something different. I can appreciate that much, at least.
If only there were other episodes of this series that could have benefited from something like that. Spyfall Part 2.
God.
I'm sorry, but it's true. That was what that scene with the Master talking to her needed. It needed some cutaways. It needed some extra visual stimuli on the screen.
Do something.
Do something, please. And the last thing is, I get why they were defeated so easily. You know, they had to make room for the scenes at the end, which were very important. I didn't like the fact they were defeated so easily. They surely could have come up with a different way of getting them back in that prison.
It was a little rushed, I'll admit that much.
Instead, no, it's Sonic Screwdriver, LOL, and
also the whole, hey, you created someone's fear and brought it to life, but in between cuts, they mastered their fear, and now the giant werewolf thing is gonna get you.
Yeah.
It's messy. It's messy, let's put it like that, but messy don't stop me from liking Orphan 50.
It's too... Uh-oh.
I don't...
When Kat starts getting like that, it's never good.
No, it's just... When you said that she waved the Sonic, all I thought of was that scene from Shrek 2 where Fiona first meets the fairy godmother and she starts singing the song with a wave of my magic wand.
Oh, no.
Your troubles will soon be gone.
Oh, my God.
And that's all I imagine.
We need to get Jennifer Saunders in Doctor Who, by the way. She'd be brilliant.
God.
Oh, God.
Just have her playing a villain for a week. People would lap it up.
Oh, jeez.
Speaking of you say werewolves, I'm not sure what they were supposed to be.
Oh, I just used the word that came off the top.
He calls them the Chagaska, I think.
I don't know what in the name of God that means.
It's got a really weird name.
Yeah.
But anyway, the chimichangas, these furry creatures... I think I just broke somebody.
Chimichanga, Jesus Christ.
All right. The Chagaska, I'll use the proper name, I'll be nice. The Chagaskas.
The Chibnalls.
The Chibnalls! Are you insinuating that Chris Chibnall is in fact a furry hell beast?
Yes.
Good, carry on. Whatever you want to call these things, I thought they were a decent monster.
It's too bad that they sucked at the end.
I thought the CGI on them was rather good. They kind of reminded me of Jim Henson's Creature Workshop. Although what they actually reminded me of was the monkey from Temple Run.
Yeah, okay, I see that.
The demonic monkeys from Temple Run. One person was not a fan of the Chagaskas.
Is it me? Because I'm not a fan.
2 people were not fans of the Chagaskas. One person not on this podcast was not a fan of the Chagaskas. And that person was Ed Power.
The hell's that?
Ed Power is a reviewer for the Independent newspaper.
Huh.
The Independent newspaper, by the way, is not independent, despite the name. It very much takes a side.
And let me guess, the side that took this episode.
It's the side you'd be on, probably, because it's very much on the left. But they got this wrong.
Oh boy.
Go on.
So I'm gonna quote, or I'm gonna paraphrase Mr. Power here. He referred to the Chagaskas as a werewolf ripped from a BBC Acorn computer from the 80s.
What?
Yeah.
They weren't that bad, Jesus.
They weren't that bad at all. He could not be wronger if he tried.
They were pretty bad.
He could not be more wrong if he tried. Both to say that they were ripped from an Acorn computer. He also described this episode as a series low point. I rest my case about him being wrong. Oh, come on. This is not as bad as Orphan 55, Kat.
No, but it's almost there.
Okay. I respectfully disagree.
For me. This is for me.
No, I understand it's for you. I respectfully disagree.
Believe me, we'll be getting to, personal affections of this episode when we get to the real heavy shit.
I just think that there was a better way they could have set him up, being trapped in the eternal prison. Maybe... Here's an idea.
Yeah.
Maybe they go inside the eternal prison, and then Zillan spots the Chigaska, and they're intrigued. They don't realise where they are till it's too late, and then the Doctor traps them in it. Maybe. Something like that. I like the idea of turning the fears against them. That was fine. What was not fine was just Sonic, oh, you're back at the eternal prison now, whoops.
It's a little... It's rushed. It's messy. It's rushed.
Yes.
Plus, I mean, would they really care about the werewolf monster? I mean, she literally says, you have a pet, show me. Why can't you summon it to you?
Yeah, it's very
Why do you have to
convenient.
go to it?
If he created it, can't he just dismiss it with a wave of his hand anyway?
I think it has something to do with the fact that she conquered her fear.
Yeah, but show that.
I think that's what they were going for, but...
I mean, Tahira is a non-entity anyway in the storyline. I'm sorry, she is.
Yeah, she's there to set up the cold open and the Chigaskas and ostensibly this ending where she conquers her fear.
I mean, she's there. It's basically, you can sum up Tahira in 2 words. She's there.
She said the last episode, whose name I can't remember.
A better, a thematic through-line story would have it be about her fears and insecurities and all that, and her conquering them and stuff. Which, a lot of that subtext is there, but again, it's kind of half-baked.
Yeah. Subtext in a Chris Chibnall Doctor Who episode. Oh, that's funny.
Well, I mean, it's a Charlene James too, so...
I know. And I'm being facetious.
Yeah. I want to be fair. We can't... I want to be fair. I don't want to go, oh, all the good stuff, Charlene James. Shit stuff, Chris.
No. I think Chris Chibnall's main co-writing was to set up more stuff for the finale and the story arc.
And maybe companion life, I'm not sure.
Possibly the companion bit, yes. And let's transition straight from that into the companions.
Anyways.
Because this episode actually did a really good job of actually developing our companions for once.
Wow.
Mostly in the form of nightmares.
We actually get some interior companion what they're afraid of. I mean, one of these is a pretty obvious button to push and needle them on, but the other 2 are really interesting.
Yeah.
So, which one should we start with?
Let's start with Ryan.
Oh God!
So you're laughing, but I was fine with this.
Oh.
I mean, it makes sense. They did pretty much just see almost twice in a row how the world could get fucked up by pollution and shit. So it's not like I'm salty about there being 2 environmental episodes or anything.
No, not at all.
Yeah, but I love the idea that Orphan 55 shook him.
Yeah.
And shook quite a few of the people watching it too.
Mm-hmm. And he's dealing with the whole idea of, oh no, we're gone for so long that everyone else is growing up without us and stuff.
Yeah, there are 2 fears expressed here in this short little sequence. Climate anxiety, which is a real thing, and the secondary fear of not being there for those he knows and cares about. And that's very relatable.
Oh, that's real.
I wouldn't say it's climate anxiety. I think it's more end-of-the-world anxiety, which is, legitimate.
Yeah, he's catastrophizing.
Everything is on fire, and I'm off with the doctor and not here to help. Oh, God.
Yeah. Also, I would say there's a third fear, the fear that they would grow too much for everybody else. Which
yes.
Is at the end.
I'm prepared to accept that, yeah.
Which,
well, you're going to have to accept.
Actually, Chibnall poked at this a little before. Remember the power of 3?
Yeah, I definitely like the power of 3 on the whole. The plot of it.
Definitely a little bit of it.
But it really did do quite a good job in exploring our companions' lives and how it affects those around them.
Yeah.
The whole thing about the fact that Amy and Rory are aging faster than everyone around them, and it's becoming noticeable. The fact that Rory's never there for Brian, but Brian doesn't seem to mind. Things like that, just little touches like that, and he does it again here. If again we can't be sure which of this was him and which of this was Charlene James, but it would not surprise me if this bit was him.
It does feel like an echo, a mirror, if you will, of something Chibnall did before.
Yes.
Really, it just shows, the fact that, and I'm gonna say something nice about Chibnall, so everybody hold on to your asses.
Oh God, here we go.
How big of a fan he is, because he's not going to show the happy-go-lucky side that everybody sees. He's going to also show the downsides of being a companion of the Doctor. Whereas, before it's typically, here's some fun, and then you're in danger. Here's some fun, and then you're in danger. Here, it's the minor things. Well, technically minor in the grand scheme of everything, but the idea of, what do you do with your friends when you've seen so much and you can't tell anybody?
Yeah.
Kat says something nice about Chris Chibnall. Excuse me while I faint.
But
that's really good.
It's one of those things where the Doctor's companion go through a lot of near-death, instances. And they have nobody to talk to about this. They have nobody they can go to and say, hey, something really fucked up happened yesterday. And they're always going to be like that because they can't tell anybody. Except for Donna, who can tell nobody anyways, but
Oh, God.
Kat,
and then Clara's off having her own adventures before she has to go die. With me, so.
Which you can read in the Untold Adventures of Clara Oswald. No, we'll get the plug done later.
Oh, I can't wait for those.
That is looking phenomenal, though. That is looking phenomenal.
Oh, those covers are pretty.
They're very pretty. So, and then we get to Graham's dream, and there's a sort of an unwritten rule in fiction. When you do a dream sequence, it's a very good way to bring back somebody who has died previously. So it's not really a surprise that Grace turns up here. Mm-hmm. They did keep her out of the pre episode publicity stuff, which was a good idea.
Hey, it's a surprise.
They're starting to learn. Mm-hmm. In some respects, they're starting to learn.
Yeah. I mean, it's kind of an obvious nightmare sequence when you think about it, because Graham has had that obvious development, but it's still pretty heartbreaking all the same.
Well, no, you're missing the whole point. Isn't the fact that Grace is there? Grace is the red herring. She's the one that nearly pulls him out of everything because he knows just by seeing her that what he's seeing is not correct. What brings him back into the nightmare is the threat of him having cancer and dying because of it. That's his fear.
Yes.
That is what gets to him. It's not seeing Grace again, because he mentions that she was never a doctor. She was his nurse. He mentions that she should not be there like that. So it's not that gets him. It's everything else.
I forgot she was his nurse.
Yeah.
So did I.
She was his nurse.
Right.
That's why he said you were never a doctor, because she was his nurse.
And his secondary fear, because they all seem to have secondary fears in their own nightmares, with maybe the exception of the Doctor, who doesn't really have one. His secondary fear is guilt of what happened to Grace.
Yeah.
He still feels guilty about it. Graham has, I think, the most character development prior to this episode of the three companions.
Well, yeah. So that's why I said that his nightmare is kind of obvious, because they've developed this so much.
Granted, it still wasn't much, but at least he had the underlying thing of what happened to Grace, and that was spurring him on somewhat to his actions, his motivation. Mm-hmm. It wasn't the best handled thing in the world, but it was at least there. The fact that it's taken 18 episodes...
In the previous episode.
Yeah, it's taken 18 episodes to finally get some proper development for our two other companions, and that does not seem right to me.
It really doesn't.
I was going to touch on this during the overall thoughts, but I'll do it now. So this is my major gripe with the Chibnall era as a whole so far. Okay, as I say, this is the 18th episode of the I hate this word, but I'll call them, just for convenience, I'll call them the fam. This is the fam's 18th episode. Right? To compare, by this stage, Rose was up to Girl in the Fireplace. Amy was on The Doctor's Wife. If you count her appearances in Torchwood, Martha was either on The Doctor's Daughter or The Stolen Earth. And Clara was on Mummy and the Orient Express.
Oh, yeah.
Every single one of those characters feels like they've been on a real journey when they get to that point in their story.
Absolutely.
Can you really say the same for Graham or Ryan or Yaz?
Not especially, no.
And can you still say that after this? I know there was some excellent character work this week, and I'm praising that. I'm absolutely praising that. That was really well done, for the most part. But can you really say, even after this week's episode, that they've been on a real journey?
No.
I'm not sure.
And there, I'm afraid, is the problem.
Do you remember what I said when we first discovered that they were going to have 3 companions? And I was like, they're going to forget someone because there's just so many people. That's pretty much what's been happening, is that they're trying to give everybody, opportunity to grow, and by doing so, nobody is growing.
Yeah.
But especially Yaz.
Yeah, not helped by the fact they keep adding in guest companions for one episode at a time as well.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yes.
What they really need, if I could just stop for a second, is what they need is something like Blink, where there's no Doctor. It's just the 3. We need a Doctor Light episode with these 3, and I think that would really help them.
The Doctor Light episodes have been really good for the most part.
Mm-hmm.
Blink and Turn Left are both stellar pieces of television.
God, yeah.
If we can get something like that for these 3, I think then they would grow a bit more. But so far, it's always been the Doctor has been there.
Well, I know for a fact we're not going to get this. Unless they really surprise us and the Doctor is somehow missing from the first part, 2-part series finale, we're not going to get this in this series.
Yeah, no.
I mean, we may not get this at all because one or more of the companions might be going at the end of the series.
Yeah.
We'll find out.
We will find out. And then, you mentioned Yaz. Yaz gets a ton of character development in this episode.
Yeah, and you can tell by now it's going to be Yaz who's gone.
No, I think Ryan.
No, I don't know.
Trust me. If anybody's leaving, it's the one that gets the most character development this season. And so far, that's been Yaz.
I don't know if it's Ryan, Yaz, or all 3 of them.
It's been Yaz.
No. I mean, who might be leaving?
It's Yaz.
Yeah.
You're determined to push this point, aren't you?
Much like last time with the prisoner, this is my guess. Yaz is going to be the one that's leaving.
Do you think she'll die?
I doubt it.
I don't think she'll die. There's a possibility that she might die, but it's not as big as her leaving because she wants to move on with her life or something.
I hope she doesn't die. I think Yaz deserves that much at least.
But I mean, let me put it this way. Who does Graham have in his life now that Grace is gone?
Ryan.
Who does Ryan have in his life now that Grace is gone?
Graham and Tebow.
How much time does he actually spend with Tebow?
Very little. Yeah, you're right.
How much time does he... Also, his dad, who we don't see for some reason in this episode.
Yeah. You're right.
Who does Yaz have in her life?
Family.
Exactly.
Oh, God.
She has the most family. She has the most character development so far in this season. She's been almost sort of the focus of everything, where she in Praxius. In Praxius, she was the one who took the initiative and went after the device. She went on the teleport thing. She has the most character development in this one. There's that whole theory about her and the Master, so...
Yeah, I still don't buy that theory.
Oh,
yeah, I don't buy it either, but if people can point out something like that, then it's most likely that's what they're heading for, is Yaz being gone.
Yeah. I hate to admit it, but I think you might have cracked the code.
Plus, it's one of those tropes too, where whoever has the most character development or the most to lose is usually the one that loses the most or is gone.
Well, that makes sense though, because it hits more emotionally if someone who we've actually got attached to or has some actual stakes with them goes.
Well, no, it's like you have person A. Person A has a girlfriend who they love very much. Person B has their entire family. Do you think that it would be fair for them to kill just person A's girlfriend and then person B's entire family?
No.
Because that's exactly what happens, is someone runs in and then their entire family is dead. Maybe minus one person who dies in their arm or something.
Yeah.
That's why it's like they have more to lose because there's just more there.
God, I hope that's not what we're going for the finale. But yeah, I think you might have cracked the code there.
God.
Yeah.
I don't want to admit that you're right, but I think you're right.
So, should we talk about the Yaz nightmare?
Well, before we do that, the Doctor has a nightmare, but it's... Yeah, I didn't like this.
Like, of all the things you could do, you mentioned the Dream Lord when you were talking about Zelen, and how great that was for dealing with the Doctor's, like, inner psyche and whatnot. Just how fantastic even that little glimpse was. And what we get here is just more arc bullshit.
I'll tell you what I wanted. I wanted basically her being berated by a version of herself.
That's the Dream Lord.
Yeah. But it would have worked. It would have fit the episode.
Yeah.
No,
Instead, we get the same...
wanted?
Sorry.
You want to know what I wanted? The entire episode, she spends time without her companions, right? And so she starts talking to herself and being socially awkward.
I kind of like that,
herself.
actually.
That's cute.
I would have loved it if her nightmare was being entirely...
Oh, wow.
There you go. Oh, God.
It would fit the theme so well.
It would have...
There you go.
Common fears. Fear of being lonely.
That's so much better than reminding us, hey, the timeless shell's still a thing, you know?
Yeah. It's just the same footage from Spyfall Part 2, but they added Jodie, and it's not supposed to be funny, but it's funny.
It's hilarious.
The fisheye lens thing?
Dramatic zoom in! It's like baby's first camera direction. Dramatic zoom in, dramatic pan.
Okay, kids, let's remember the cheats. When you want to play in big head mode in Doctor Who, it's up, up, down, down.
Holy shit.
DK mode activated.
Oh, Christ. Okay.
But I do like the scenes where she's like, and I'm talking to myself again, which means you're not here. I did like that.
Yeah, those were fun. Plus her at the end when Graham just finishes talking, she's like, I'm still really socially awkward, so I'm not going to...
Yeah, we might have different opinion on that slightly.
I thought it was funny, but I also think I know exactly what you mean.
Yeah, that's something I have a bit of a beef with.
That's a divisive one.
If Jen's going to get real, I'm going to get real for something else similarly to it.
Yeah, it's okay. We'll get real in just a minute.
So, yeah, Yaz. She has a really intense nightmare / fear. And we're not entirely sure what's going on here at first.
I liked it. I liked the dream sequence.
Her dream sequence is the least clear.
What the hell was going on?
Yeah, you don't know what's going on. There's a police officer, and there's Sonia. Sonia's saying, no one's coming to help you. You're completely alone. There we go again with the loneliness being a common fear.
So you wanted the Doctor to have Yaz's dream base?
I suppose.
Well, no, because the Doctor would have been completely alone, like just nothing.
Okay.
Or perhaps the doctor's fear
Imagine the
could be...
solid tract room without the frog.
Perhaps the doctor's fear could be fear of failure. But that's just a suggestion.
Yes.
We eventually found out what's going on with Yaz, or what went on with Yaz 3 years ago. And prior to this, there was also a meal that her sister... Is it Sonia?
I think so.
Yeah, her sister has cooked for her. And they're commemorating some event. We're not sure what the event is until the last 10 minutes of the episode, and it becomes all too clear what this is. So, Yaz 3 years ago is basically feeling lost, which is not an uncommon thing for people of that age, and indeed a lot older.
Yeah.
And she's running away from home, or she's running away to kill herself, or something.
I mean, she had her bag with her, so I from home.
Yes, but she encounters a police officer who wants to take her home so she's safe. And they had this really touching conversation on the side of the road.
It's sweet, yeah.
Which really resonated with me.
That's nice.
I think also she's saying that, she was bullied at school, which was referred to in the Witchfinders. How she hates bullies, things like that.
Yeah.
So this really resonated with me because, real talk, I've never been suicidal, okay? But I have had depression. I do have anxiety. And other issues, mental issues in the past. Now, I got help for those, as Yaz got help for those in this story. So it really just did connect with me on a personal level. Unfortunately, the internet didn't agree. The internet thought this was entirely inappropriate.
Really?
It's not just the internet.
Well, do you know what I say to the internet and these other people? They can go forth and multiply. This is absolutely appropriate. Okay?
Well,
What's inappropriate? What's inappropriate about mental health issues is sweeping them under the rug. What's inappropriate is not talking about them. Is making them a taboo subject.
Oh yes, that is true. But may I give my rebuttal to that?
Yeah. When I'm finished, you can certainly give your rebuttal to that. But when they say, things will be better if you tell someone, that's not just empty words. That's not just a millions and platitude. Take it from me, it helps. I did talk to someone. I was having problems. I did talk to someone, and it got better. And I am grateful for the fact that I talked to someone. Okay, rebuttal away.
That is very true, and a lot of people do find help in talking to someone. Not everyone does. And that's part of why it felt a little bit... Because I'm a lot like you. I have depression. I have anxiety. When I was in school, I was bullied very badly from pretty much the beginning of middle school to the end of high school. So that stuck with me for quite some time. There have been times where I am actually one of the people who ran away from home because I couldn't stand to be there. So I know what it's like to want to run away. Especially at that age where I was younger than Yaz in that story, where she was 16 in that.
She was 16, yeah.
Yeah. Which I still can't believe she's 19. I had no idea she was 19. But, I was younger than that. I was having trouble both at school and at home, and essentially I ran away down the street to my, park that was there. My mother called the police, and they did come for me. Wasn't anything like what Yaz went through. They basically just brought me home and told me, hey, you can't do that, your mom was scared. The problem I have with it is, again, this doesn't work for everybody.
No.
Much like me, where I was just basically told, hey, what you did was stupid, don't do it again. And, I mean, yeah, it can be helpful for some people to have somebody to talk to, but that's not always what happens. There are tons of people who can't get the help that they need because there's so much more in mental health than just being able to talk it out. And, to get a little bit personal, with my symptoms of, anxiety and depression, I had to go on medication for it. And that has actually been helping me quite a lot.
Yeah.
And it's just one of those things where you can have these moments, and you can have them, and they will be great. But in the context of the episode, this feels a lot like Forest of the Night.
Oof.
Yeah.
Mm.
So, Forest of the Night there was a young girl who had some issues as well, and there was like this mystical whatever bullshit going on. This feels like a darker version of that. It's just, instead of preying on whatever it was that it was in Forest of the Night, instead this time it's preying upon real fears that people have. I can't speak for everybody, but I'm going to say, do you agree with me, Rainiac, that when it comes to depression, it's a lot of negatives? Like, a lot of negatives.
Absolutely, and I wasn't trying to imply, by the way, that it works for everybody. It's just that it shouldn't be a taboo subject.
Oh yeah, it's not you that I have a problem with, it's the episode itself.
Yeah.
But essentially, the dude in this, Zelen, is preying on people's negative. So he's bringing forth everything that's bad in their mind. And he says that, what he said before about how humans' minds are the cruelest to themselves. And that just felt a little wrong to me. Because, while yes, it's true, it's very true that, in my mind, as well as I'm sure yours, our minds can be very, very hateful towards ourselves.
Absolutely.
But there's also the fact that you can't just throw away a line like that. It's like, if you're going to do a mental health episode, you gotta make it, more about all the aspects of mental health. You can't just make it, oh, well, she got over her fear, now it's fine. Oh, she talked to someone and now she's perfectly fine.
Yeah.
There's so much more to mental health than just that. And what works for me isn't exactly going to be the same thing that works for you or works for somebody else.
No. And
So
that's a very good point, because people are individuals.
It felt flat. Right, it felt flat.
Yeah.
Like they picked one aspect of mental health. In this case, the negative thoughts that people have. And they said, basically, just talk to someone about it. And that doesn't always work. It can work. And it does work very well for some people. And it worked very well for Yaz, too. And I can see why, but there's also the fact that you gotta have more than just talk to someone. It felt a lot like... This is gonna sound bad, but it felt a lot like... Just feel happy about it, it's fine. That sort of thing.
I think the police officer came across as sincere.
Well, yeah, she felt sincere. Whoever played her was very good at what she did.
And honestly, I think the scene at the end where she gives her the 50p is very touching.
Oh yes, that was fantastic.
But the strange thing is, they did work with a mental health charity when they wrote this episode.
Really?
Yeah, they had a representative from the charity Mind to try and make the episode feel as authentic as possible with the mental health aspects of it. Whether they succeeded or not is entirely your opinion, but...
So, y'all have weighed in on your stuff. May I give my little personal...
Yeah, it's not fair for us to get real and then not allow you to get real, so please do get real.
Yes.
Well, yeah,
conceding,
like
of course.
Different.
Yeah. This is a... it's just sort of... What's the phrase I'm looking for here? It's not quite a difference of opinion. It's just a difference of worldview, I think is the best way. It's the same reason why Kat and I disagree. stuff like Lamb and Orphan 5, where Kat's perception is indeed very real. This doesn't work for everyone. Just talk to someone about this, and it's a lot more complex and hard than just talking out your problems and having it all be better. Getting better is really difficult, and it's something you actually have to work at really hard to overcome your own. So, conceding that, of course, for me, this episode is exactly what I needed to hear at exactly the right time. So, you've all shared and opened up, and, well, like you, I'm an anxious bitch. And sometimes I have my good days, and sometimes I have my bad days. This past weekend, was a sustained period of bad days for me. Just a whole bunch of stuff happened. Certain little things here and there that just piled up and brought about those dark clouds, those dark thoughts. When you say them out loud, they sound silly, of course. Oh, your friends all did a thing without you. Well, that obviously means that they don't want you around, that you're not desired, that you're not wanted, that you should just fuck off and be alone. When you say it out loud, it sounds absolutely like. But when you have those, and this is a term I'm borrowing from those friends, when you have those brain goblins fucking with your head, it just feels so real. So they're coming through. I talked it out with them, of course, and they were nothing but supportive. And I'm glad to have them there to be supportive for me and help me through these dark times as best they can. Because, it's good to have friends who care and someone to support you. But then I sit down at the end of this tumultuous weekend to watch my favorite sci-fi show. And you have all these thoughts about the cruelty of the human mind and the endless voices telling you incapable, worthy, and I'm just like, oof! It just struck me. And then we've mentioned the messiness of the finale, but we haven't mentioned the Doctor's big speech, her very Doctor-ish speech, which I'd like to quote if I may.
Please do.
You're wrong about humans. They're not pathetic. They're magnificent. They live with their fears, doubts, guilts. They face them down every day and they prevail. That's not weakness. That's strength. That's what humanity is. And I don't know, it like Kat said, that is not a thing that works for everyone. It can be seen as basically a platitude for some. But for me, personally, in that moment, that is exactly what I needed to hear. This is exactly the affirmation I needed to help myself feel a little better at that exact moment in time. And it elevated the episode up for me, personally, because of that emotional state and how it helped resolve it. So, this was really good.
Yeah.
And that's all I had to say about that.
Well, thank you for opening up, and I hope you're all right now.
Oh, I'm good.
You can always talk. Right. You know that.
Mm-hmm. I'm glad.
Oh, that got real. You weren't kidding.
I told you.
I have to agree. It's like I've had those days before. The days where it just feels like everything wrong. Nothing right with it. And on those days, I would have loved to hear what was said, but I never actually got it. Ever.
Mm.
And even in my mind, if I ever did hear it would immediately go, well, there.
Yeah.
And, it's essentially, it's like your mind has been poisoned.
Exactly.
That's exactly how it feels.
This is an antidote. Talking to someone can be an antidote, but much like with venomous snakes, you have to know exactly what it is that is hurting you in order to be able to know how to fix it. Mm. And it's like, for you, this was your anti-venom. This worked for you. And you really like this too, right now. And then I'm one of the people who this can work. I can see that it can work. But the problem is that it doesn't everybody. And as far as I know, they don't really talk about what can for everybody. Or, they don't talk about the aspect other than, like, for just me, what really helps me is just getting out of bed every day. Taking a shower and feel my bed. Just being able to, even the simplest act, breakfast. That's something that I haven't done for years. And my doctor literally told me, make sure you eat breakfast in the morning, because that's part of self-care. And I would never have thought of that. And most people wouldn't have thought of that because, it's breakfast. You have breakfast. It's just one of those things where I can see where it helped you. I can see where it could help other people. And I can also see that more than likely the stuff the internet that bullshit. I mean, you shouldn't talk about mental health unless you're part of sort of bullshit. I'm not even going to mention them anymore beyond.
God.
It's just one of those things that, personally, I think it was good, but it could have been better.
I can emphasize with that, and I'm glad you can emphasize with me and my.
Absolutely, and I'm more than happy.
As they say, depression is a black dog, and that black dog is an arsehole. The second bit was me, but they do liken depression to a black dog.
Okay.
I mean, not really. Like, it's not really like a black dog at all. I don't.
Well, that's what Winston Churchill thought.
Well, Winston Churchill was an asshole, so.
I'm not getting into that debate. That's debate.
Okay.
That's bait, Kat.
Here's a more apt metaphor for you considering. Depression is a storm cloud.
Yeah?
Yes.
And it could burst at any time. There you go. It works.
It's not even just bursting. It could be different kinds of storm clouds. It could be a light rain. It could be a severe thunderstorm. It could cause...
Yes.
That's perfect.
So that was really earnest, and thank you, both of you, for that. Before we get to the overall thoughts, just one scene that I think didn't quite work out the way they possibly intended is at the end, where Graham is earnestly talking to the doctor about his fears about his health, and she's just not getting it.
See, can I get a little real again, per se?
Yeah?
Yeah.
So during that weekend, I was telling you about the whole three friends that were hanging out together. They're three very, very dear people to me. And one of them, the day after, like, helping me out with my stuff, I vented to them a little bit. They had stuff of their own. And for personal reasons, I kind of felt I really couldn't reach out as much as I wanted to help them get through it. So I did kind of empathize with the doctor in a way. Like, I want to help, but I'm not really sure what I should say. So there's something to be said on that. But then there is the other front of, yeah, it probably could have been written better. If you know.
I mean, I found it to be a funny scene, but it also has that underlying, yeah, you really should.
Mm-hmm.
That's the problem. I didn't like the fact they were playing it for laughs.
Yeah, that's fair.
Plus, also, social anxiety is yet another part of mental health, and then just sort of brush it away. If
the idea was to sort of portray this version of the Doctor as kind of neuroatypical, that works. And that's certainly as a whole of a reading of the character I hadn't considered before.
Well, when you consider the inventors thing, kind of, maybe.
Yeah.
I mean, they're handling it well so far.
So far.
One thing I forgot to mention, though, Graham does get a really good bit where he has the thing projected into his mind, doesn't he? He says, if you get me an A to Z of the universe, I can't tell you where it is. I've got no idea.
That was a good line.
That was a great little thing. He's got some really good dry wit as Bradley Walsh.
Mm-hmm.
He has. But yeah, for the most part, I thought the mental health aspects were done really well. This was a little bit jarring, given how well the other two bits were done. with Yaz and the police officer, and then Ryan and Tebow going to a support group for something. It's not quite specified what.
I think I missed it too, but I suppose they were generous in a way.
He clearly needed some help, and Ryan helped him get the help.
Which is good.
And do we think that Ryan is leaving?
No idea.
Given this kind of foreshadowing at the end. So, how long is this going to last? Who are we? Yeah, all right, Kat, we get it. It's Yaz, but...
It's Yaz!
Yaz is not the focus of this scene. So do we think that Ryan is leaving? Not Yaz, not Graham, not the artist formerly known as the Solartract. It's Ryan, specifically Ryan, leaving at the end of the series.
Oh, I have no idea, but Yasmin definitely is.
You just had to keep pulling that thread. You just had to keep pulling it.
Oh my god.
Look, there's a giant sweater, and I want to unravel it.
And you certainly did that.
And the giant sweater has Yaz crocheted on it.
Oh, God. Jerry, you're not helping.
Actually, slight segue, my favorite ugly Christmas sweater is one that just has a mirror taped to it, so...
Kat, you're really not helping.
Oh my god.
We had an ugly Christmas sweater contest at work, and I almost did that, but then I thought, no, I better not.
I like my job.
All the subtlety of a house brick. Or a Chris Chibnall Doctor Who script. So...
Oh god.
Bringing it back. So... We've talked a lot about this. I think I kind of know your overall thoughts, but let's just wrap it up with some overall thoughts.
Well, I'm not going first. Why don't you do it?
All right.
Okay. You wanted to shell out.
You can go first.
It was exactly what I needed at exactly the right time, and I can't thank it enough. It rose the episode up to levels that it might not have reached ordinarily because of that personal resonance. And, well, I'm grateful for it. And I'm also grateful for those pals this weekend. You know who you are. Love you.
No, I'm glad that you felt personally validated by that moment, by that speech. And I thought this was an excellent episode as well. I think the villain is going to stay in the memory for a good while. I think Ian Gelder showed he's a fantastic actor. His role as Zellin is excellent. The first 40 minutes, really enjoyable. They flew by. Didn't like the rush where the buddies were vanquished and overcome. I understand why it was done that way. We had to get them out of the way for the character development. And that character development, for the most part, was great. Yaz certainly needed it, and she got it. I have no idea what's going to happen with Yaz now, although if you listen to Kat, she's leaving at the end of the series.
She totally is.
This is easily top 3. This is easily top 3 for me now. Tesla, Fugitive, and Can You Hear Me? I don't know in what order yet. That'll probably come at the end of the series. I'll be able to rank it.
Well, obviously, Tesla's number 1.
Oh, yeah, of course. Of course.
Absolutely. Because if it turns out to not be number 1, I know where you live.
And you actually do, because you sent me a switch to there, so...
And one night, you're going to wake up in the middle of the night in a cold sweat. You're going to sit up, and outside your window, all you hear is, "Can you hear me?"
Oh my god!
And then Kat puts her finger in your ear.
Oh my god!
Look, let's not make it weird. I am not going to finger Rainiac.
We almost got through the entire show without sort of making a reference to fingering.
Oh, I was waiting for that.
Well done, Kat, for bringing the tone down again.
Oh, God. Oh, shit. Well, what did you think of the episode overall, Kat?
I'm not a fan. We'll put aside the mental health stuff because I've already said on that. I didn't like the Immortals. Zellin was fun while he was, doing his thing, being creepy. As soon as they brought in Rakea, they did the animation, I lost all interest. Well, actually, no, it was before that. It's when Zelen said he was a god, or the doctor said it was the name of the god. And please don't bring in gods into this. I mean, I'm fine with them having weird powers. They're aliens. That's fine. But as soon as you start making them gods, that just throws me out of it. This is a sci-fi. I'm here for science fiction. Gods are more either religious or they're fantasy, depending on what they... And it just took me right out of it. And then the animation happened, it was like, you guys couldn't film this with real people? You had to pay animators to do this? Really? Really? I mean, it would have been so much more interesting to see the real people doing this.
Yeah.
We would have seen more of Zelen and Rakea.
To be fair, they never really refer to themselves as gods. The Doctor says, that name is for... Zelen was thought to be a god. He says, I blush. He never says, I'm a god. They specifically refer to themselves as immortals or eternals or beings from outside of this universe.
I'm 95% sure at some point he says that, they're gods or something sort of like that. Or they essentially, the Doctor gives him a word to use and he's like, oh, that sounds appropriate for what I
do. Yeah, she says to him, Zelen was thought to be a god. He says, oh, I blush.
We're just doing a Control F for God in the thing. Someone's not to be a god. Oh, yep. Even gods need a helping hand, Doctor.
This is my time. Shut up.
No, but he's right.
I'm proving you right.
He's proving you right. He's proving me wrong. Yes, I'm getting in the server. Don't even bring it up.
Hey, Kat, question. At what point in the episode did you send me the following, and I quote, Chibnall, you old fuck. Fuck you, fuck you, fuck you. Fuck you, fuck you, fuck you, fuck you.
The opening credits?
When was that? I'm curious what timestamp matches up within the episode.
I'm trying to remember, because I started the episode pretty close to let me just... Pretty close to
7 EST.
Yeah, it was pretty much 7 when I started. So that was about
20 minutes
in.
Mm-hmm.
That would have been when Zelen first appears.
No. I think it was around the night.
Okay.
Yeah. That also makes sense. It's not everyone's cup of tea, and that's absolutely fine. I mean, differing opinions is good.
The nightmares. I enjoyed that. I was more pissed about the fact that he brought back up Orphan 55.
And the Dregs get a cameo, no less, as well.
Yeah, that was pretty fun. That
was wild.
Yeah. Speaking of wild, and I want to...
done.
You won't... No, sorry, I'll shut up.
I literally just talked about how I didn't like the Immortals. You asshole, okay. You're trying to cut me out.
I'm not, I'm sorry, I thought you'd finished.
Continue, please. Continue, please, Kat, but before getting interrupted by rude people.
Because you're assholes.
Oh, Kat, I'm sorry, okay?
Jesus.
Fine. Well, next week... Wow, I feel the energy just drain out of the room.
Other than the Immortals, I found it to be okay. I mean, it wasn't the best episode, but it wasn't an Orphan 55.
Okay.
And there you go. Okay,
I'm sorry for interrupting you. That was bad of me. It's just because I'm excited about what's coming next week. So I don't usually do this. But I'm going to show you in advance the screen grab I've got for next time, and I think you'll see why I've done this. And I hope it copy's over. Next time, the haunting of Villa Diodati.
Beautiful.
As soon as I saw that, I knew I was using that for the image for this particular section of the podcast.
Oh my god.
I am so looking forward to this. So you know how Kat had that absolute pure fangirl reaction because Nikola Tesla was the historic person she wanted to be Doctor Who the most since its inception?
Mm-hmm.
Next week, I'm going to be like that because Lord bloody Byron is in Doctor Who. Ada Lovelace's father. And
well, fuck that. It's not just Lord Byron, it's also Mary Shelley.
Yeah, Mary Shelley and Percy Bysshe Shelley, and I think somebody else. So, the Doctor and her friend gatecrashed the night that Mary Shelley was inspired to write Frankenstein. This is going to be so good, I hope.
Well, fingers crossed.
I think we're going to get ghosts. I think we're going to get a lot of Mary Shelley, Lord Byron, and Doctor interaction. Hopefully, they've referenced the fact that Lord Byron had a bear at university for a pet.
What?
Yeah. He was an amazing character. He died young, but he lived life to the absolute full.
He was also completely bonkers, if I remember correctly.
Oh, he was nuts.
Wild.
He was nuts, but he was a fun kind of nuts.
So we will have essentially the genius, the crackpot, and the goth.
Yeah.
2 more stereotypes, and we'd have the Breakfast Club.
Nice. I like that. Yeah, but next week, I warn you, I will be fanboying about Byron like crazy.
Oh boy.
I just hope, because he's not going to be the main focus, it will be Mary Shelley. I just hope they do him justice.
You and I will be in tandem, because I'll be fangirling over Mary Shelley.
Mary Shelley, yeah, she's also quite the badass.
And I'm here like, yeah, okay, that's neat.
Jared's like, who are these people?
I've read Frankenstein.
No, I was trying to be humorous. The key word there being trying. I know I failed miserably.
Oh god.
Let's put it this way: if Tesla is my male fangirl fantasy, Mary Shelley is my female fangirl.
Jeez.
That's how bad.
Did Chris Chibnall write this series specifically for you?
Yes, I hope so.
That begs the question why he approved Orphan 55.
I think a lot of things beg the question why he approved Orphan 55.
Environmentalism.
No, he already had Praxeus. He didn't need a second.
One of the great mysteries of our time. Why did Orphan 55 get greenlit? Ed Hound just comes through one day and says, I've got this idea for an episode. Here's the script. Chris Chibnall goes, we need to fill an episode. Go for it. Or maybe thinking about it, maybe Praxeus was the filler episode. One of them had to be the filler episode, I think.
Who knows? I don't fucking know.
Perhaps the fact that the Drake show up in this one suggests it was Praxeus.
Ed Heim has a script and he hands it to Chris Chibnall, and on a post-it note on the front it says Orphan 55. Chibnall just slowly peels it off, and underneath it says yes.
Oh god.
That works for me. So yeah, next week the Lord Byron and Mary Shelley fangirl power hour.
We are going to power the fangirl cannons.
That's going to be the all we talk about. And on that hilarious note, thank you for listening to us talking about Can You Hear Me? Thank you to...
For those of you who don't understand that reference, ask Frez about the pigeons.
Don't ask me about the pigeons, God!
Ask him about the pigeons. Trust me, he'll love it. Or if you like, instead, ask him about the eggplant.
Wait, whoa, holy shit, hang on. Back up. You just break out the fucking obliterator?
I may have done, yes.
God, what the hell are you doing here?
Look,
haven't heard about this one in a while.
Because I played twins. I was twins, damn you. I can't throw my voice twice.
Yeah. I fun fact about that voice, I can do a grand total of about 4 or 5 lines before I have to take a break and drink some water.
let's wrap this turkey.
How did the guy that did Machine Drumon's voice in the Digimon dub manage it?
We're playing way too inside baseball. Let's good night.
Yeah.
People.
Thank you for listening to us talk about this episode. And if it got really raw for you, I don't apologise actually because it needed to be said.
Yeah.
I mean.
So we'll see you next time for Lord Byron and Mary Shelley fangirling. I mean, The Haunting of Villa Diodati.
Like, oh my god, we're like so excited for it.
I'm pulling the pull on this right now. Good night, everybody.
Like, bye.
Night, night. Sleep tight. Don't let the bad bugs bite.
Oh no, let them bite all their bloody water. Oh god. No, look. I can keep this up for hours.
Water!
Water.
I need the water.